Take action. Be an advocate for college access in Oregon. This online presentation is provided by the Pacific Northwest Association for College Admission Counseling. We are a professional association spanning 5 states and representing hundreds of high school counselors, independent counselors, college admissions professionals, and other professionals who are passionate about serving students as they engage in the college admissions process. We invite you to learn more about us at www.pnacac.org. In this session, we take a look at the policy process in Oregon. How do things get done here? When it comes to education policy, we're going to focus on 3 players in Oregon: the legislature, the governor, and state agencies. Let's start with the legislature. It's easy to find out who represents you in Salem. This link will take you to a website which, based on your home address, will show you who represents you in both the House and the Senate. Please pause this video for a moment and use this website to find out the names of your elected representatives. Click on the link for your elected representatives' websites so you can learn a little about them. Even though we're using the term legislature, we are actually talking about 2 distinct parts of the legislature, the House and the Senate. The House and the Senate each play different and important roles in state government, but what's important here is that you have an elected representative in each chamber. In Oregon, we elect 60 people to the House, and we call those people representatives. We elect 30 people to the Senate in Oregon, and we call those people senators. In Oregon, a representative runs for office every 2 years, whereas a senator runs for office every 4 years. An important part of the policy process happens in legislative committees. In both the House and the Senate, committees are groups of lawmakers who review legislation. You may hear that a bill has been introduced and referred to the committee of jurisdiction. This means that a lawmaker writes a bill and then hands it off to the committee who oversees that topic. In Oregon, we have 15 committees in the House and 10 committees in the Senate. If your elected representative serves on a committee related to education, you have special access to someone in Oregon who is an essential player in college access policy. The lawmakers who serve on these committees are the ones who vote on legislation early on and send that legislation to the entire House or Senate. When you looked up who represents you in Salem, did you see any committee assignments related to education? If a bill is approved by both chambers in the Oregon legislature, then that legislation ultimately goes to the governor to either be vetoed or become law. When a bill is before the entire House or Senate, you can contact your representative or senator and encourage them or discourage them from supporting that bill. When a bill passes both the Senate and the House and goes to the governor, you can also contact the governor at that time to recommend either the governor sign the bill or veto it. When it comes to contacting your elected officials about an issue that's important to you, please remember 2 things. First, your elected representative works for you. Whether or not you voted for that individual, the person who represents you in Salem ran for office to serve you. You have a right and a responsibility to make your voice heard. Second, when it comes to college-bound students, remember that you are an expert. Your elected representative wants to hear from you because you know how policies in Oregon affect college-bound students. Without hearing your voice, the person who represents you in Salem cannot know what's happening to college-bound students in Oregon. Returning to our 3 players in the policy process, let's talk for a moment about the governor. There are almost 4 million people who live in Oregon, and the governor is the chief executive who represents all those citizens. When it comes to advocacy efforts, working with the governor can be difficult due to the many demands on the governor's time. If you're an advocate for college access, though, there are reasons to communicate with the governor. The governor plays an important role in framing the policy debates in Oregon. Therefore, it never hurts to contact the governor when you feel strongly about an issue, or seek out the governor at a town hall meeting to make your thoughts known about an issue. As mentioned previously, you may also want to contact the governor if he or she is considering whether or not to sign into law a bill that's been passed by the legislature. As we mentioned earlier on, agencies can play an important role in the policy process here in Oregon. There are 2 that you ought to have on your radar as you think about the policy process. The Higher Education Coordinating Commission is a 14-member board of citizens that advises the legislature and governor on higher education policy in Oregon at the state's public universities. The Oregon's Department of Education, which is overseen by citizens like you appointed to the State Board of Education, is another important agency that shapes college access policy in Oregon. The Department of Education and the State Board of Education are key players in making sure students in Oregon have access to rigorous high school curriculum and graduate from high school college ready. You have every right as a citizen in Oregon to make your voice heard to these policymakers when they're considering important issues that face college-bound students in Oregon. As we've seen, the question of where does public policy come from isn't necessarily easy to answer. Now you know, however, that there is more than one place where you can get involved and be part of the process. Our national affiliate, the National Association for College Admissions Counseling, or NACAC, has great resources for you to learn about what's happening in Oregon and at the federal level related to the policies that affect college-bound students. For information about what's happening in Oregon, NACAC has the State Legislative Portal. Through the State Legislative Portal, you can see bills that are being considered in the Oregon State Legislature. For federal policy, NACAC has the Legislative Action Center, which has a lot of great information about important college access issues that the White House, Congress, and the U.S. Department of Education are considering. We encourage you to check out these resources, especially when you hear about an issue in the news and want to learn more. Thanks for learning about the policy process in Oregon, and on behalf of all the students we serve, thanks for being an advocate for college access in Oregon.